7 kilowatt Echo Victor India November, Kevin number 2. And we're located up here 150 miles west of Milwaukee, little city of Reedsburg, Wisconsin. So good to hear everyone on this morning. Won't hold it too long so we can bounce it around here and give everyone a chance. Running the Flex 6400 here this morning with a modified Ameritronic L1500, running a pair of 8877s, 375 watts of carrier, and the antenna is a 600 ohm open wire fed antenna. Antenna is 260 foot long and 100 feet in the air, broadside north, west, southeast. So that is the rundown here. So, yep, Kevin, this is the new audio scheme. I'm done fighting with the audio on this thing, and waiting for one more piece to show up. But it's just going to be a finishing piece. So this is the final setup with the Flex 6400. And yes, you're getting ready for your trip. I think from your message I got from you, if I understand right, you're leaving Saturday morning. Boy, that's awesome. And then, man, I'll tell you what, looking forward to seeing some pictures and hopefully working you while you're down there. Hopefully we'll have some conditions. We'll see what happens. And I know you seem to be confident in that. From your messages and a couple of conversations, I know you felt like you're ready to send it. And I certainly love that. Keep it going work summer. So it's time to sit back and enjoy it a little bit. And heard your comment to Craig there. Christmas is coming on, and boy, it's going to be here before it's, things are busy for us now, you know. Well, you know how we're in the industry at one time, the food industry, and you know, everyone's getting geared up now and getting ready to start purchasing for Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. So we're gonna have a hectic couple of months coming up here, but hopefully we'll still be able to slide in here at least a couple of times a week here in the mornings, probably Wednesdays and Thursday mornings. We'll see how that works out. Looking forward to hearing how that vacation goes. Good morning to you, Stephen. Good morning to you, Perry. Steve, you're coming in here nice, about 5 over 9. I'm doing about that. I'm hearing you a lot of times up on 40, but I'm going to take a little bit to breakfast. And I'll say good morning to Perry out there. If he doesn't hear me, Kevin, you can kind of bounce it over for me, but we'll see what happens here. W3MMR to take it here in the group this morning. K2ZNI.
K2ZNI in the group. Excuse me, W3MMR. Good morning, Kevin. Sounded good coming out of the cold country of Wisconsin this morning. Good signal. Copying you direct here on the Anon 200D. A little bit of selective fading in your signal, but you're peaking almost 15 to 20 over at times. So then dropping down to about an S9 and coming back up. So I got no problem hearing it. The Flex is sounding great this morning. Like I said, just running the Anon 200D this morning, and an AL80B running about a little under 200 watts of carrier into a 600 ohm ladder line fed doublet, up about 60 feet. A little chilly here this morning. It's 45 degrees. Cold start this morning. Just getting moving here. So I'll monopolize it. I'll keep things moving around and let Kevin reply to Steve. Good morning to you, Steve, K1BYD. Good to work you again. Sounding good coming out of Massillon, Ohio. It's a cool name for a town, Massillon. I'd be proud to live there too. Anyway, we're coming out of Chester, Pennsylvania this morning, 7 miles southwest of Philadelphia. Over to you, Kevin. KK4GZQ in the group. Good morning, W3MMR.
Okay, Perry, and we'll let Steve pass it my way. BYD to pick it up. KK4GZQ in the group. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay. Here we go. All right, I don't know who I'm supposed to point it over to, but very good, fellas. Well, you're all doing a great job here. And good old Massillon. Oh, actually, they tell me you pronounce it Massillon or something real quick. Massillon. You know, it's a... It's a spot on a map. I don't know, I don't know really how to comment on it. I haven't been here that long. And fortunately, whoops, we'll cut that there. One of the meters was set on high sensitivity. And of course, it was up near, right on the peg. You know how meters do. When you, when they hit full scale and they want to go a little further, you don't have to worry, because if you use them too much, it'll just bend a little bit on the top. Anyway, one of the great things was we now have, they have here finally gone from using Indian drums and smoke signals for internet connections. I now have fiber optic in here, and it's amazing to watch how they go from the larger fiber. Whoops, I got into something. Okay, there. One of the connectors just, weird. This is a typical day in Hamdon, especially when you're working around things. There was an RCA that was not supposed to touch anything, did. And suddenly I was hearing myself, because that one happened to be the tap off of the sampler for audio. So I've explained that away. But the interesting thing is how the fiber optics handled, and I was told that the little box that he was using, to take a larger size drop fiber optic down to the fiber optic cable here is different than what I had in Virginia Beach, in the respect that they had the big cable. It literally was right into my shack, and I had a gigabyte. Well, I don't have a gigabyte here, but it's the best they can do for now. It's a 100 megabyte connection. And the interesting point is the fiber optic cable itself is only, I think it's no more, it's less than 1/8 of an inch in diameter. It's probably, I haven't mic'd it or anything, but to get the dimension. But, all right, I'll say could be as little as just a little bit over 1/16 of an inch in diameter. It's real skinny stuff. Anyway, it's installed, so I'll be able to put more toys for amateur radio on the connection. All right, I don't know who I'm supposed to send it to, but on this one, because I made kind of a couple of wild, windy transmissions here from Massillon, I want to wish everyone a safe and happy good morning, and you fellows enjoy. You're doing a great job. Keep the AM going. Keep the AM window washed, as they say, or don't say. So, I don't know. I think I should shoot it over to one of the Kevins, and I don't want to create a pileup, but I'm going to say Kevin. Pick it up. Excuse me. 73 all. Y'all have a super day. K1 Big Yellow Dog, Massillon.
Okay, Steve, real good. Let me make sure I have it here. Okay, real good. K1BYD with the group KK4GZQ. Excuse me, and again, a good morning to Perry. And marginal signal this morning, Perry. You and Steve both took a fade on your last overs there. I'm not sure what the band's trying to do here, but Steve got kind of hard to hear there through about the middle of his transmit. Anyway, Steve, if you are copying me up there, thanks for the heads up. You know, I have not changed the software here on the Flex 3000. I'm running 2.7 here, and Power SDR, and that was something I was going to work on here this winter, is downloading the KE9NS software and using some of the nice upgrades there on that. But that's a good heads up on the drive control, because you know, Steve, that drive control will have to be usually I get it to about where I want it and then leave it alone. On this particular setup here, I've got the drive level at about 62, which is about 18 watts of carrier, to the AL1200 here, which produces about 325 watts of carrier. So I don't drive it any harder than that. It's got good duty cycle at that setting, and we're pretty nice and pretty satisfied with the AL1200 especially. So anyway, I'm just rambling here, guys. Perry, the Anon sounds great with the AL80B. I was just telling Craig that I've got a single 3500 made by a company called APA, and you don't see many of these around. I got it at Dayton about 16, 17 years ago. And not just a little 110 plug and play. It's ready to roll. And Kevin, okay on getting your extra equipment in there for the audio. Kevin, it can't sound any better than what it does. Now you're just basically trying to cut hairs here. It's down to about as good as I think anybody could make it sound. So anyway, that's about the best report you could get there. 7-3 to you, BYD. Steve, have a good day of it. Great to hear you. And on up to Wisconsin. KA2ZNI to take it. KK4GZQ in the group.
KK4GZQ in the group. KA2ZNI. And certainly appreciate the compliment there, Kevin. Certainly do. And yeah, you're sounding great here this morning on the Flex with the AL1200. You were sounding so good. In fact, that's why I wanted to get a recording. And of course, you know where that recording's going to go here in a little bit. And of course, it's directly to my page there, and you can give it a little listen there later on. Probably take me about a half hour to render it and get it uploaded. But yeah, I mean, you were sounding so good. I'm like, I haven't done that loud and that clear in quite some time. Not necessarily because you're doing anything different, but just because the band is in such good shape here this morning. You know, I've got some static crashes, some noise there in the background, but you know, you're rolling right over the top of it. No issues at all. We'll say 7-3s to Steve up there in Massillon. Nice to hear you on this morning, Steve. Very familiar with the fiber optic internet. We got that installed here not too long ago. Stuff's amazing. You know, I still can't believe I went from 200 meg internet service less a month. Unreal. And we've had some really, really good luck with it since we've had it. No issues at all. So, you know, when you're dealing with these big video files that are, you know, a gig and a half big by the time I record them and upload them, you know, that internet service makes it pretty easy to handle when I'm shifting big files around. Just checking my SWR there. So other than that, yeah, not a whole lot going on. Just looking forward to your pictures when you go on that trip, Kevin, and hopefully you have a great time down there and everything goes well for you. I know you've been looking forward to it, so looking forward to those pictures. As I said, I've never been down there. I've been down to the northern part of Florida, you know, on business. Really haven't had time to enjoy much of anything when I was down there. You're, you know, going a little further south, and hopefully you get to see some pictures. But anyway, that's the story there. Cold up here this morning, 36 degrees. The frost is definitely on the pumpkin here this morning. Winter time is on its way, unfortunately. I was watching the weather out there toward the west. Got some friends that live out in Colorado, and so we'll send it over to you, Terry, and sounding great on the Anon there, Terry, from 200B, and the amplifier there. Pleasure to talk to the director this morning. W3MMR to take it. Here in 73 is the UC. And let's see how the game goes here. K2ZNI.
Hey, KA2ZNI in the group from W3MMR. Well, very good, Kevin. Thanks for the compliments on the Anon here. And it's a pleasure to finally put the speak and spoke on you on the van here, as they say. Yeah, I really enjoy. I mean, obviously, I really enjoy the Facebook groups. They do a great job, and you know, to keep you know, there's a lot of participation. And the moderators and the admins do a lot of hard work, keeping things in order, keeping things on subject, and so I try to add to it every chance that I get, and I try to do recordings every chance that I get, just for the fact so people can get an idea of what they sound like, you know, because. You know, with technology nowadays, it's relatively easy. You know, I just post it up. I'll either post it on the group. Well, first I'll post it to my YouTube channel, then I'll throw it up on the group, or just post it to my YouTube channel. And all people have to do is search their call on YouTube, and if they're coming in here to the Northeast, there's a good chance that I probably caught you here. In the AM window at some point, so I try to do it as, I guess, a public service to folks. But Kevin, I agree with Kevin about your audio. I don't think it could sound much better. The Flex is sounding absolutely great this morning. The audio chain that you're running is sounding phenomenal. We're just running a Shure SM7B and running the CFC audio tools, the internal processing to the Power SDR software. The Power SDR Thetis software here on the Anon. It's got multi-band compression and an EQ, and that's pretty much it. But the algorithms that they use for the processing, things it just works out really great. You know, just have the SM7 plugged into a preamp, and then into the line-in input on the back of the Anon, and it's simple. I have an external rack, but I don't use it anymore. I can't remember the last time I used it. When I use my Behringer B1, I'll usually use the audio rack, but this is so simple, you know, to use. It's just, you know, it's so simple to switch between transmit profiles, whether it be if I'm operating sideband or operating AM. If I bounce up to 20 meters and hit the sideband button, it automatically switches over to my sideband profile. I mean, it's very convenient. And I do have the boat anchor station behind me with the DX100 and the NC303, which I was on last night, and that's just nice to jump over to for a little change. And that DX100 that I restored is very convenient as well, because believe it or not, I can just turn that thing on and it's right where I left it. After it warms up, it's right on frequency. It's always tuned up, always sounds the same. Put a lot of work into that thing to get it to that point, and it sounds, I'd like to think it sounds pretty decent. I've got very good reports with just the D104, and that's another thing with the vintage stuff. I want to keep it vintage. If I want to be broadcast quality and have that real wideband sound and sound like an FM radio station, I'll come on the Anon. And if I want to, you know, have a little nostalgia and change things up a little bit, I just have the D104 plugged right into the DX100, and we'll, you know, we'll just go with that. But 7.3 to you, Steve, as well. K1BYD, it's always a pleasure to hear you. You're the channel master this morning. 25 to 30 over here in Chester, Pennsylvania this morning. Sounding real good, and it's always a pleasure to hear you. And I always got a great attitude, and you always put a smile on my face every time I get to talk to you here on 75 meters. And real quick, Kevin, GZQ, real good on the single 500Z amplifier that you have. I don't think I think you said AEA was the manufacturer of that amp. I could be wrong. You kind of took a fade when you said that, but I love this little ALEDB. It's got 3200 volts on the plate, and this thing will do a kilowatt on sideband. I mean, all day and all night. And I usually run this thing between 175 to 100 or 200 watts of carrier. I have it running on 220 volts, and this is the import version, the ALEDB-X, which comes wired from the factory with 10 meter for 220 volts, and it comes with 10 meters, the 10 meter modification already installed in the amplifier. And I used to run it on 110, and ever since I started running it on 220, this thing really sings. And I can run it, like I said, with 200 watts of carrier on AM, sit here and make, you know, old buzzer transmissions, or get the exhaust temp will get about 210 degrees. The exhaust temp, I have a little, you know, little thermometer, external thermometer there, monitoring the exhaust temp. And this thing will still put out 125% positive peaks with headroom at 200 watts of carrier. And I've been running it this way for well over a year now without any issues whatsoever. And real quick, one thing I did do, you know, I know you guys with the flexes and you know, you have the tune function. Well, I was tuning up the amplifier, and I was making a video when I was doing it for a buddy of mine to show the tune function on the Anon because he was thinking about buying one. And I didn't have my monitor on, so I couldn't hear the tone. And I left it on full drive, the power slider up to 100 on tune, with my amplifier doing about a 1150 watt carrier for well over 20 minutes. I completely forgot it was on tune. And then all of a sudden I remember, I mean, the amplifier was so hot you couldn't touch the face of the amplifier. It was that hot. And cooled it down and fired it up the next morning, and the thing's been fine ever since. And honest to God, that's a true story. I almost blew up my Anon, and I almost blew up the ALEDB, but both have been running now for almost a year since I've done that. So if you ever want to know how stout these amplifiers are, that's a test of how stout they are. So anyway, over to you, Kevin. KK4GZQ in the fine group, W3MMR.
K4FNY. K4HH.
Hey, I got KN4HH, and there's a couple other braking stations out there. Would you guys listen up and help me get the braking stations? The other braking stations come now.
K4FNY, Kevin, good morning.
Well, Charlie, we've all been very concerned about your whereabouts. Good morning to you and Bob. And there might even be a third braking station out there. I saw something on the pan adapter, guys. So, Bob, listen up. Maybe you can pick them up. I'll go ahead and get Bob in here, KN4HH. Morning, Bob. And then Bob can pick up Charlie if they can hear each other. And then Charlie, it'll go up to Kevin, K2ZNI. And I'll just make a couple of quick ones since you guys jumped in. I think that is a very interesting story that Terry told about the Anon and the AL80B staying on transmit for about 20 minutes. Hey, that's putting it to the test, Perry. And talking about and that's good to know that they've got that kind of duty cycle without blowing up. That's pretty awesome. So obviously the way you're running it is perfect for AM. At that drive level and at that carrier level that you're running about 175, I'd say you're pretty much good to go. Yeah, that's an AEA, Perry. Applied Electronic Applications. I think they still make a few things. I see some product from them, and their sister company was Vectronics out of Canada. There's a model of that same amplifier in a Vectronics version, Perry. And mine is just wired 110. You can wire it 220, but I just left it that way. It's pretty easy to find a plug and just get it and go. And I can get somewhere in the neighborhood of a KW like you were talking about. So I think that's all I got here, guys. Kevin, I'm looking so forward to the trip. We're down to the last 2 days here, getting ready to leave, and if we have good band propagations, even though I'm just going to be running 25 watts down there, being out there on that island makes a lot of difference as far as your ability to get out.
Uh-oh.
K9GS.
Good morning, Jerry. I think Kevin had a drop out there.
Bob, I accidentally got my big toe on the power supply button down here and turned it off right in the middle of the transmission. How about that? Anyway, out there on St. George, it's being 4 miles out in the ocean, it really does help out a lot. Bob, here it comes to you, and then over to Charlie, and then up to Kevin. KN4HH, Peachtree City, KK4GZQ in the group.
Okay, real good. Good morning. I can tell Charlie's in there, but I may need some help back out to you here. Good morning, Jerry. Matter of fact, we're glad to hear you guys on this morning. For Charlie and I talking. So, countdown day. You're on your way. I bet you're all excited. Yes, sir. That salt water makes a wonderful ground plant out there in the island. So, I know we'll hear you last time. So, I'm looking forward to hearing that. Good morning to you, Terry. Perry, I sure have been enjoying your posts on the population Facebook page. In fact, I posted mine. I got a lot of nice comments last night. I enjoyed your on there one this morning. Let's see, 41 degrees. Right? 73. So we're going to have a really nice day today. Good morning. That's Charlie, K4FNY.
K9GAS, KN4HH.
Yeah, good morning, Bob. signal here. It's just huge this morning, so I think that's maybe I heard mention here. I just got around, getting ready to head over to Home Depot or something. I think Home Depot and Menards. I got two things to get. Working on the chimney this morning, or today. I rented a little man lift. Has to go back about 3, so I need to get that finished up. But anyway, I haven't made my coffee yet. Just sat down here trying to vegetate, listen a little bit. You know, that's one thing about ham radio. It doesn't take much energy. That's pretty sad, isn't it? But it's a good one to just get up and vegetate by. You know, not much brain waves have to work here this morning. No, at least on my anyway. Just turn it on, talk, and listen, I guess. Anyway, good morning, Charlie. I'm gonna send it your way. I hope you had a good time in the deep woods, and I'm sure you did. And you know, I don't know what the temperature here is today or this morning yet. It's probably around in the 40s. I can look on, 51 it says here on my phone. I think we're supposed to be about 64 or something for a high. So, I want to try to get that down before the cold stuff starts getting in here. But anyway, my goodness, K4FNY. Well, I'm trying to stick you up there in the cold country, Charlie. K9GAS in the group.
Okay, Jerry. K9GAS in the group. K4FNY. Well, good morning, Kevin, Bob, Kevin, and Jerry. I'm not copying Bob at all right now. He was a little stronger, but I couldn't even hear him ID in there. That's the deal. Well, play on your project, your chimney work. I hope you get that fixed before the cool weather comes on. Okay, it's 46 degrees here. It's a little chilly, but that's seasonal for October. We usually have cool weather and warm days here in October. That's really ideal. Just got that deal. 315 he's got there. You know, I don't think I've ever seen one of those things. 31000 is a knockoff card in the car. You don't see them very much, but hopefully he's got a spare. You know, 41000, I think is a little taller than that. Physically, it might not fit, and you have to connect up the string grid. I guess it's running around the grid. Anyway, that's the deal from here. Yeah, we had a pretty good time in the deep woods. The first weekend in November, Jerry, for a short hunt down there, and that's the opening of either sex day, see, so hunters can take either sex of deer. And I plan on hunting a cup of coffee. And I'm pretty good at that. Let me get it to ZNI. I'm supposed to turn it to him. I'm not copying very well, but maybe he can hear me. K2ZNI in the group, K4FNY. N4JK.
Alrighty, very good, Trevor. Let's see, I heard Art in there. I thought you can send it back to me there. I'm JK here in the group this morning, K2ZNI.
Okay, Kevin. K2ZNI from N4JK. I've had the rig on here listening for a few minutes, and flash signals are kind of down today. I'll pick up in a few minutes. And then it kept going on and on and on. And I looked over and I had the antenna tuner set to 40 meters. So, they're pretty big. Short between the headsets this morning. Anyway, I got it corrected. I just tuned it. We're hearing folks pretty well down here this morning. It's, let's see, 61 degrees. So, nice, comfortable weather, the type we've been looking forward to for a while. Anyway, Ken, I'll throw it back up your way, and I'll try to get up to speed here. K2ZNI in the group from N4JK.
Okay, very good, Art. N4JK here in the group this morning. K2ZNI. Good morning to the guest man out there. I'm not hearing Jerry very well at all, but I can tell he was in there. So good morning, Jerry, if you can hear me. I will say good morning to Bob down there, HH. And good morning to you, Charlie. Trying to get up there this morning. Every word. So, section of those conditions all right between us yet. Everybody is sounding good here. Nice to hear everybody out. So this is really quiet up there this morning. We got some cold weather, 36 degrees. Definitely some frost on the pump. A friend of mine that's been posting that lives out there, and yeah, old man winter is starting to roll on in. Well, at least up here in the North Country, won't be too much longer. I know last about a week ago, we were through a little bit of snowstorm in the northern Wisconsin, Minnesota border there. About 20 miles worth of blizzard. Just more snow here in another couple of days or so. We're going to see some lows down into the mid-20s. But right now, 36 degrees. I think we're down in the 50s, I think.